What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Freedom Fighter Show. Today, I have a very special video for you. It comes from Huffington Post. It's all about our favorite topic.
Feminism.
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 So let's get right into it.
Is there a speeding ticket you need to get out of?
Would you rather show your tits to get into any bar for free?
Are you tired of opening doors for yourself?
Does it bother you when you did want to give you his jacket?
Did you make a big mistake? Do you want to just blame it on PMS?
For the price of your father's X chromosome,
You'll receive the woman's card right to your doorstep. There will be an annual membership fee of 78 cents to a man's dollar.
Wow, the land of make-believe.
Okay, so let's just start off right there. So those first couple of things they talked about were just some random things that I guess women get that people consider like privileges, like being able to get into bars for free or being able to get a jacket from your date. I don't see why a man who was cold couldn't ask a woman for her jacket if he felt so inclined. That's beyond me. But the biggest thing that we saw right off the bat was the good old wage gap myth, the 78 cents to a man's dollar, which we all know is absolute garbage, because anybody who actually knows what the wage gap is, it's simply an earnings gap between all men who are working and all women who are working, and they just average out their salaries, and that's the earnings gap. That's the 78 cents to a man's dollar, and it's simply broken down and debunked when you look at the fact that take into account how many hours women work, what kind of jobs women work, and where they work, or even negotiating salaries. Those are all factors that go into the things that go into the wage gap. And most of the time when the wage gap is perpetuated, even by people doing studies, they often leave out one or two of these things. And many people who study the wage gap will tell you this, such as people like Christina Hoff Sommers. So those are the actual statistics on the wage gap. There is no wage gap when you look at single job to job, exact same hours worked and all of that. There is no wage gap. It's illegal to pay women less than men. It has been since the 60s. But let's continue then, huh?
64 cents if you're not a premium member. Additional charges including the monthly cost of feminine hygiene products. When purchasing a razor, it'll be $2 more for the same product, but for you, it comes in pink.
Okay, see, this is ridiculous because you don't have to buy the pink one. You can buy the man's razor. If it does the exact same job, if the razors are exactly the same, then buy the men's razor. If not, then maybe it's because women's razors do something else, like they're more delicate for softer skin, or they have special kind of blades. I don't really know. I haven't looked into the product, but if they truly are the same product, then just buy the men's razor. This is such a non-issue. Wow. Let's keep going though, shall we?
The woman's card comes in different shades of oppression. The darker the card, the more chances you have of
experiencing domestic violence,
pay discrimination,
and systematic racism.
Okay, so this is where intersectionality gets brought into all of this, which is also just another fallacy. It's basically oppression Olympics. It's like, how oppressed can I possibly be today? And let's grade it on a scale of if you're a white female, you're only oppressed because of your female, not because of your race. If you're a black female, you're oppressed because of your race and your gender. If you're a transgender black female, then you're oppressed for every single kind of reason. And it's garbage because that absolutely excludes the fact that it's simply individual circumstances that happen to go into some of these things, and there's a whole lot of reasons for some of these other things that they're talking about, which would have to constitute a whole different video. But the theory of intersectionality has been absolutely debunked by so many people. It's a fallacy. There's no extra oppression for being a different race or gender or anything like that. So let's just continue though.
If you're a black woman, you'll have the luxury of wasting $300 on hair products, because you have to look like a white woman to receive the job you've been waiting for.
Now this kind of goes back to the razor thing. It's like, no, you don't have to spend $300 on hair products if you really don't want to. I don't know if having a certain kind of hair is a requirement for the job you're going to get. I don't think so. I've never had a hair requirement for a job that I'm going out for, but maybe that's just me. That's my white male privilege right there. There it is.
You're fucking a white male!
Anyway, let's yeah.
If you're a Hispanic woman like my mother cleaning a house, the owner is allowed to harass you all he likes.
No, he's not. If you are a person who works in house cleaning, then you should be respectful to that person. I, for one, I've had plenty of people who have worked in in my house when I was growing up. They would come and they'd clean the house, and I was always very respectful to them. Actually, we have me and my family had a very good relationship with some of the people that would come and clean our houses. We were just respectful people. If you're being harassed by the person you're with, then that person's probably just not a very good person. It has nothing to do with being a woman or being a certain race. It's just because that person happens to be a really rude person. Anyway.
Don't worry, you will not be able to respond in his language, but you will still understand what he's doing. If you and your friends purchase the card together, 1 in 3 of you will be sexually assaulted.
So the 1 in 3 sexual assaulted, I don't know where that stat came from. For the overall United States, it seems like the statistics that I was finding show it was like 1 in 7 women will be sexually harassed in some form or another. I have to dig in deeper to see if those statistics are true, because there are a lot of fallacies that go around regarding sexual assault, but I'll go in more into that later when they bring up another point.
The only requirement being, you must breathe in public. When carrying your women's card walking home at night,
99.9% of holders report that they experience catcalls, heckling,
and even persistent flirting.
Okay, I guess this can be seen as annoying, getting people to be like, hey, what's up, pretty girl, or being called like darling on the street. I don't know, I guess that's something you just have to deal with, but some things that men have to deal with, how about being 94% of all workplace deaths? That is, oh boy, your man's card comes with possibly dying at your place of work. That's not something women have to deal with. And you also don't have to be drafted to war. So, maybe there are just some things that women have and men have, and it's just kind of an individual thing that people just face on a daily basis, and not something to be super upset about all the time. But anyway, let's continue.
Women in the work office claim that coworkers constantly remind them of their card, and it's privilege. Like when your colleagues keep forgetting that you're not the intern and refuse to see you in anything but a pencil skirt and stockings.
Again, it just seems like whoever these certain people are, these certain individuals, they have to be the minority, because I have certainly never met anybody in my life at places that I've worked or anything that have literally seen women as less than their male counterparts. If they can do the job, because we live in a meritocracy, that's just how my brain works anyways, if they can do the job the same and they do it well, then they're respected the same as everybody else who does the job. The people who don't do the job well are the ones that don't get the respect. So maybe that's just how it works in some places. I don't know. Yeah.
If you show a health provider your woman's card,
you'll receive new and improved ways on how to deal with the aftermath of your boyfriend refusing to wear a condom.
I don't understand this one either, because if your boyfriend refuses to wear a condom, then he was clearly not taking the proper precautions to a possible consequential situation. And if you still accepted the consensual intercourse after you knew that he did not have proper protection, then it's kind of also on you. You can refuse. You can say nope, no protection, then no intercourse. It's that simple. And you can't then get upset when something bad happens and then you're like, oh, now it's all of a sudden my fault. Like, you could have prevented it in the first place. It should be on him and on you. It's on both people. It's a two consensual party situation. So you both have to have proper understanding of how consequences work. But yeah.
You will find it is always your responsibility to clean up his mess. However, Congress will even strip you of these decisions, convincing you that they have more rights over your body than you do.
And here we get roped into the pro-life versus pro-choice argument, of course, regarding abortion, and the idea that it's your body, your choice. It's kind of loosely defined, because there is at some point the child growing inside of you, which is developing and has a heartbeat and has a brain and has a whole life ahead of it that deserves the same basic rights and liberties that everybody else has. At some point, it's not your body anymore. It is the child inside. I understand there are certain circumstances, whether it's rape or incest, or even within like the first trimester before it's been actually developed, I think there can be some leniency, but to assume that at all points it's your body and it's never another human being's body that you're infringing on their rights is a cold argument. It's not fair, and it's not the argument that most people make.
Don't be alarmed. These side effects are normal.
Further your education will heighten the possibility of assault.
Have no worry when you're raped behind a dumpster a block from your sorority.
Justice will be served with a 6-month sentence in the local jail.
So here we go. This is what I wanted to go back to on the rape statistics. So this comes from the, of course, largely announced 1 in 5 women on college campuses will be raped or sexually assaulted. And that has also been very much debunked. See, the actual statistics on women raped or sexually assaulted in college is about 1 in 45, I believe. And don't get me wrong, that is still bad. That's a problem, and we should definitely look to continue that and fix it. And it's a problem by itself. There's no need to inflate it to this 1 in 5, which was simply done. That number comes from one study that had an incredibly small sampling size. And it also constituted two consensual people having sex while they're drunk as rape. And that is absolutely ridiculous. If they're consenting, then that is what constitutes it being rape or not, is consent. So the 1 in 5 myth is a lie. It's already enough of a problem that we should be addressing, but there's no need to inflate it to this thing that going to college is going to make you more vulnerable to rape. I think it also speaks to the fact that we need to teach more self-defense to people and to stand up for themselves, because the mentality of these feminists is that, oh, we need to teach men not to rape, as if normal, decent human beings need to know to be taught not to rape. That's absolutely ridiculous. You don't need to be taught not to rape or not to murder because people know these are bad things. People who do those things are gonna do it anyway because they don't care what people are taught and what the good things in society should be, how you should act. So that is ridiculous. It should be more focused on self-defense and preventing these rapes from happening in the first place. That would actually be the best way to likely address this problem.
A steep price to pay for 20 minutes of action. Is it privilege to lose our consent to the government when most men hear the word equality? They only think about the right to hit women back, to call them what they'd like, to do what society has long accepted.
So the reason when discussing things with feminists, the word equality gets thrown around all the time is because they try to fall back in the argument that, oh, well, feminism is simply about the equality of the sexes. Don't you believe in that? Of course you believe in that, but you also don't have a monopoly on the word equality. You could also be an egalitarian. Those people believe in equality. And also you could just be a normal, decent human being who understands that all people deserve the same rights and liberties as everybody else. You don't have to put a label on it, and that's the problem when discussing these things with feminists. They have to label it so that they have to think if you're not a feminist, you're against equality, which is an absolute lie. And it's because feminism, as a movement, as it is now, is no longer about equality. It's about special privileges. It's about letting women make more money for not doing more work, right? That's the pay gap is a lie because they just want more money for doing less work. They want extra privileges in their lives, and it's not actually about equality like the original meaning and movement of feminism was about. And that's where the disconnect happens. Not that people don't want equality, it's that the way feminism today describes equality is not actual equality of outcome, of opportunity, it's equality of outcomes. That's why they want every CEO, they want 50% of CEOs to be female, or 50% of high-paying people to be females. 50% of the government should be females. When really it comes down to individual choices. The reason these things aren't equal in terms of numbers is because women make different choices, and that's what it really comes down to: individual choices and women choosing to do different things, and that is why their outcomes are different than their male counterparts.
I'm afraid to have a daughter, to be the one to teach her the purpose of rape, nail polish, and dress code. I'm afraid to have a son. I'm afraid that mother knows best will mean nothing when manhood teaches him otherwise.
The Woman Card is a sponsored product of the patriarchy. If you receive a woman's card without ordering, recent applications are prone to failure. Processing paper likely to be disregarded. The Woman Card is not affiliated with the government, Donald Trump, and misogynistic propaganda.
Wow. So that was quite the last statement. Of course they bring in patriarchy as if America is somehow a patriarchy. Like, we oppress women all the time, right? We don't let them drive cars or show their faces. Oh wait, that's Islam in the Middle East, not America. Anyway, This is just absolute garbage. These things aren't actual. They're not being oppressed. Women aren't oppressed. They're the most free and liberated people in the world. Women can choose to do whatever they want, and that's what's so amazing. More women nowadays are getting an education. More women are going to college. More women are getting higher paying jobs as CEOs, and more women are going into higher paying fields. But there's also still an obvious individual choice of women to go into fields like nursing and sociology and human resources. These are things women choose to study and fields that they choose to go into. And that should be seen as true liberation of women, that they can choose to go into these things. They don't have to be going into electrical engineering or they don't have to go run for office, because they can choose to do things that they're actually passionate about. The idea that we need to have full equality of outcomes in every field is just a lie. I mean, why don't we fight for 50% of coal miners to be women? Because women don't like those jobs and the men take it, and that's not a problem. It's just that it's choices that individuals make. So basically, it just comes down to individuals in our free society choosing different things, and that is where most of these discrepancies come from. And that is the true liberation of women, that they can choose to do whatever they want, and they're allowed to have the freedom to pursue it. And that's what's beautiful. If they want to be a stay-at-home mother, they can do that. If they want to find their career, they can do that. There's even a study that's shown that single women without a child between the ages of, I believe, 25 and 40 actually make more than their male counterparts. So I think it's something to think about, that individual choices play a larger role in this than discrimination and sexism rampant in our society. But anyway, that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thanks for watching. This has been the Freedom Fighter Show. See you next time.